Welcome back. And we're moving into our first conversation this morning with representatives of the Elections and Boundaries Department. One of the things that takes place every summer, and they always try to educate people about, is that there is a specific period for transfer of voters. So we have with us this morning to be able to tell us more about the process, Alma Middleton, who is a registering officer at the Elections and Boundaries Department, and Brendalyn Staine, who is an acting registering officer. Good morning and welcome, and thank you for being here.
Good morning.
So ladies, let's talk a bit about the work of the Elections and Boundaries Department before we move into the transfer period. We obviously spend a lot of time looking at the work that you do when there is an election near. But outside of the election cycle, what are some of the activities that you're undertaking?
The reason we are here is because one of the most important activities we do at Elections and Boundaries is voter education. So we are trying to embark on this to sensitize the public in general about us, and not that we are not working not only during election time, because that's what the public thinks, that only election time they go into drive mode and they're working and nothing else happens in the other months. So
what is the frequency that you see new voters coming in to get registered? I don't know what the practice is in Belize or the habits that we have, that when people turn 18, if they come in, or do they typically wait for an election to be near?
From my experience, most of the time, new registered voters will come in at the time when there is an election, municipal election, village council election, etc. I have seen cases whereby people normally walk into the office and get registered on their own, but most of the time they are brought in by an agent. So that's what we have been noticing.
Okay. Now, a key part of your yearly activities is obviously this period in July and August where people seek to get their transfers in. Now, let's talk a bit about what qualifies a person to be able to transfer their registered area as a voter.
July and August are the only months we need to remember that of every year, right? So we are looking into having a busy transfer period. So what's happening next year? I'm not going to say anything about that. So that's the time that everyone will flock into the office. So you need to bring along. You need to be 18 years old, a registered person. You need to be registered in the area that you are residing. So what happens during this period is that people move a lot, and they should take advantage of the opportunity to move to the area that they are residing now, being that they live 2 months in the particular division. Bring along a passport, a photo ID that would be able for us to identify the person, so we don't have wrong identity. So they need to bring in a voter's ID, their own voter's ID, social security, a driver's license. In the event that they do not have any of those, we will take a photograph and they will need to take it to a justice of the peace to authenticate it, and they come back to the office.
Okay.
So that's the prerequisites right now.
Is it usually a very busy period, the transfer period?
Well, this year we're suspecting a busy transfer period due to the fact that next year, first Wednesday in March, will be city council election and town council election. So we're expecting, especially Belize City, to be very active, and other districts like Corozal and Orange Walk will be very active also.
Now, there are many people who move to a particular location and don't go through this process. Are they legally required to be able to change where they are registered?
Not really. This is, you do it on your own. Although there is a particular section in the representation of the people, the chief elections officer has the power to move you. But it happened many years ago. We haven't done that in quite a time, long time. So that was something that happened. I don't know why.
Yeah, so. But also a part of the lead up to an election is the vetting process as to whether or not you actually live in the area that you are registered in. So to prevent any problems down the road, it's better to transfer now during the summer. Is that the case?
Well, what I would say is that we have people that works in Belize City now. Maybe they were register in PG, and now they are already living in the city. So what would advise them to do? To come into the office and get a transfer rather than going all the way to vote back in PG. That would be one of the reasons why they could, come into the office and be transferred.
Yeah.
What we found out is like after July and August is completed, we noticed people coming into the office September and asking for a transfer, and they had missed the whole transfer process, and they will have to wait till the following year to be transferred. So that's one of the reasons we are encouraging voters to come out if they are now living in a new division to apply for a transfer.
Now, I like the example of the person who lives in PG and now works in Belize City. Some people want to be registered where they own a home versus where they rent. So let's say I've always lived in PG, I get a transfer to San Pedro, which will probably be temporary, and I'm living in San Pedro. Where should I register?
Well, it will depend on you, because in the Representation of People's Act, Section 59 say that the registered voter shall. He said that he must, but he shall make his request to the registering officer if he wants a transfer. So it's not a must. He shall if he so chooses.
Okay.
Right, Ms. Middleton?
Yes. What happens is that for convenience only, although it's a you choose where you want to register, but remember that you need to be living there 2 months. So that we would be looking at that particular area. You're 2 months living in this area, so it's your choice now. And then now, there's a difference between registered and transferring, because you can register, you register in Toledo. You live there all your life, you were 18, you meet all requirements, and then you're registered there. You can leave your vote there for as long as you want. Now this period of July and August, then it's your choice. You move to San Pedro to work, then you want to vote there, you take advantage of the election that will be upcoming, then you transfer there. So why it's the convenience for you not to be going out. Sometimes what happens is that if you're a public officer, then you are met with the problem of then how will you move to PG to exercise your vote, right?
Yeah.
So usually officers work from in the morning or prior to the opening of the polls. So you would have no time to go unless you want to vote by proxy, right? But so it would, for me, I always think that I should be the one that casts my own vote, not someone else.
So what does someone have to present to be able to go through the transfer application?
Well, first they need to visit the office personally.
Okay.
Bring along a social security. They can bring their passport. They can bring their voter's ID. We have even made cases whereby if you don't have a proper photo ID, you can also come to the office, like what Ms. Middleton did, and we take a picture for a JP to authenticate it. And if you can bring along your utility bill, it's not a must, but it will help us to verify your address, better description of your address.
That's what I was going to ask, because there is a requirement that you are living in the location for 2 months at minimum, right? How does the voter, is the voter responsible to prove this, or that is a part of your own vetting process?
Actually, if we're talking about the utility bill, we only use it for extra information.
Okay.
But what happens sometimes, these are one of the challenges, the utility bill is on the owner's name, not on the tenant's name. So maybe we just use it for the address. Along with that come another challenge, because the address, maybe the person has moved, and then you still bring a utility bill, someone else's name. That's the time that we need the person to give us enough information for us to be able to locate the address. And believe me, here in Belize City, we have so many challenges when it comes to the transfer period. People refuse to give information, and maybe some people give us some wrong information. We cannot find you. Really, we are met with this problem that we really don't want disenfranchise no one. But at the end of the day, it's up to the registering officer to be satisfied that you qualify to be transferred during this July and August period, and we will be the persons that will be vetting your application. Then we put it on the supplementary list for the 15th of July and August. So if you have a problem, then you can challenge that, and you can come to the office, and there's another process to challenge that.
Yeah. So there is somewhat of an interview period. There is somewhat of an interview when you go in to do your transfer.
Yes.
Is there a follow-up vetting process? Do you have people who perhaps research to ensure that whoever is transferring is legitimately living in that area?
Yes. Here in Belize, it's mostly the registering officer that goes out and verify address. Example for me, I'm a registering officer for Port Loyola, which is Jane Usher area. We physically go out there based on the description that we get from the applicant.
Yeah.
And based on that descriptions, that's how the person would be able to make the list.
Yeah.
So it definitely goes in the field.
Yeah.
We definitely go in the field long hours and from morning. So you see us in the office, take off your high heel shoes, then you put on your tennis and go in the fields.
And know you have to know your area well and know the people in the area.
Yeah, but some of the challenges would be like people are telling you live in Jane Usher Boulevard, and sometimes not only Jane Usher Boulevard. The boulevard is just one street.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're living off the boulevard, so sometimes we have to be circling around the area more than once. I know for a fact we have challenges in Raccoon Street. Extension, people are saying extension, but it's way past the extension. Sometimes they don't give us proper information. So you will be on a street for at least about 45 minutes, just checking to verify that you have found that person. So it takes a while.
So obviously it'll be helpful if they bring more information about where they live rather than just a generalized area.
Well, what we do at the office, we try to get enough information from them. We would ask them color of house, if their yard is fenced, neighbors, because sometimes you're not at home.
Yeah.
We have people that work 8 to 5 and we don't normally work after 5. So what we'll do, we'll ask for neighbors. We ask for the best description you can give.
Yeah.
In certain houses, you actually find like house numbers, so that helps a lot. So we'd ask them for the nearest landmark, like for example, they're living in front of a church, in front of a school, any place that is a landmark, then from there we take it so we can find your address.
Yeah, yeah. And if somebody is not granted their transfer, you said there is a challenge that they can put forward, right? Tell us about that process.
A list, supplementary list is always published, and for the months of, we have a cycle to start with, right? We have a cycle that runs from the 11th of a month to the 15th of the other month, to the 10th of the other month. So by the 15th, we need to publish a list. So that means that people that will transfer will be from the 1st to the 10th. We will publish a list on the 15th. And we have
15th of July.
15th of July. Then from July, we'll have another list from the 11th of July to the 10th of July, August. So that would be, but we still have people registering on August, after August. So we still have to produce a list on the 15th, right? Of September. But they are not people that, you cannot come and register on the, transfer on September.
Yeah. It has to be the last 2 weeks in August.
Yes. So you have 10 days to, once the list is published on the 15th, you have 10 days to challenge it. So you come into the office, whosoever is on that list. The aggrieved party can come to the office, and then he puts his application on form 14. 14A. And then the challenge will be heard on the revision date. So usually it's anytime after the 25th of the month. Then it's usually we have some persons that get their attorneys, and then we go to the courts, and then he has to state his reason why he should be on that list. He or she should be on that list. So at that time, we need to be well aware, because we have done our groundwork that the person really did not qualify, the reasons why he did not qualify. And it's a challenge, you know, because you have to prove, I have to prove that the person does not reside on that address.
And that's the primary reason they wouldn't be put on the list. If you
Primary
go
reason.
out and check and neighbor says, I don't know who that is, or there is no house where they said it should have been a house.
Yeah. And not only that, sometimes you when you visit the address, the landlord doesn't know them, and they actually give you the landlord name. So when you get at the house and you're asking the landlord, do you know John Doe? And he's like, I've never seen this person before, and that is enough information for us to be satisfied that that person is not living at the address, because the landlord doesn't know the person, nor the neighbors.
And you see that? That's what she said. The landlord's word is enough for us. Because if you're the owner, and then I said, Miss Marlene, do this person live here? No. So I have to believe you that the person doesn't. And there are some people that really very smart in Belize. They have a degree in smart. They come and they tell you your name, complete name, address, even your phone number, and they say, call her. She'll say sometimes actually I have to mention it because sometimes the landlord is up to it and says yes. Yeah. So how will I go against your word? Sure. And that's why I said that's one of the challenges we met. So if you say yes, I have to put your name on the list. You know? So and I know that we will be met with a lot of those this transfer period, 1st of July.
And you know, I think it's important that we talk about the vetting process because we know once the elections come around, it's one of the things that the critics speak about the Elections and Boundaries Department the most. Oh, are they going out and checking? I live in that area. I've never seen that person. How are they voting in that area? And so it's very important for people to understand that you do have a process. Obviously, there are constraints involved, and it means that some people are blatantly lying to be able to help to get someone in a particular area. When the challenge is put forward, it goes to the court, and then that is decided there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, how often? I mean, what are the numbers that you typically see during the summer period for transfers? I know we've said this year we're expecting more because for people who know there's a transfer period and there's an election next year, it means they have to do it now.
Yes.
Right? But what is the typical type of traffic you see around summer?
It depends. It really depends because if there is an upcoming convention for a particular party, people will be transferring.
Okay.
We just had village council last year, so last year I haven't experienced. I was working in Cayo and I haven't experienced a very hectic transfer period. Okay. But I know for the 16 years I have been working here at Elections and Boundaries, whenever there is an election year, meaning like next year, we will definitely have a crowded or a election period. So we're estimating for it to be very busy for us, July and August.
What's the amount of time someone should anticipate when they go to the Elections and Boundaries office to be able to do their transfer?
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Once you get to the counter, once you get to a registering officer, it's about 10 minutes.
Yes, like 10 minutes because it's the vetting process and asking you all the questions. That's why when the person comes to do his application, he should come with all his information ready for us, so to facilitate us with the process.
Okay.
So it tops 10 minutes.
So let's talk about other information that you'd like for people to know about coming in and doing their transfer at this time.
What other info we need?
July and August. So July 1st to the end of August. Those are the only dates?
I know for a fact that sometimes we actually open up to the public on a Saturday, but people do not take advantage of it. And people are saying that you guys don't open on a Saturday. We don't normally open on a Saturday, but the Saturday we do choose to open. We are there from like 8 to 4 or like from 9 to 4, and you will have like 10 people coming to your office, 5 people coming to your office, and it's to facilitate them to transfer because maybe they work from Monday to Friday, and where they are working, they won't have the opportunity. Yeah. So even when we are open on Saturday, they do not take the opportunity. Even for people that needs to pick up their voter ID card, because that needs to be picked up personally, because that would be a Saturday for them to utilize also. Or if you need to do a replacement, you want to replace your ID card, that Saturday can also be used. But what I found out is that people do not take advantage of it. I know for the past, we have been opening on some Saturdays, and people have barely came out to the office. When we are giving update to our supervisor, like 3 person came in today, we have open whole day to cater for the public. And then when they do not get transferred on that time, they're like, didn't you guys open on a Saturday? And we will be making public announcements, Is
it every Saturday or specific Saturdays that you choose?
It's a specific Saturday, so know that maybe we'll open maybe a Saturday in July or maybe a Saturday in August.
It's the last 2 Saturdays.
Yeah, the last 2 Saturdays, we will definitely, we normally will cater for the public, but they do not take opportunity of it.
Yeah, that's important for people to know because you're right. The working schedules of people, it doesn't always allow for them to come in and do the transfer. So most likely, the last 2 Saturdays in August are days that people can mark down on their calendar to be able to get in and do their transfer.
Yes.
Right?
The office is also open between 12 and 1.
Yes.
So
Okay.
compared to other government offices,
Yeah.
we are open between 12 and 1. Actually, we're open between 12 and 1 all the time. But
Yeah.
so just a reminder that we are open between 12 and 1 transfer period. So they should take advantage of that.
Now, you pointed out that it is a process that you have to do on your own. So if I want to transfer, I have to go into the Elections and Boundaries Department. What happens to people who live in the diaspora who want to come in and vote, Belizeans who are living abroad? Is there any process for them to be able to?
Unfortunately, no. Since all applications are done personally, nothing online happens
Yeah.
here with transfer. We don't have not hanky-panky move here.
Yeah.
So all of them need to come.
So they have
if-
to come
yes.
in, yeah.
So if by chance they come, even though if they're abroad, remember the 2 months?
Yeah, that's what I was
bracket? So
gonna
that-
get at,
Yes,
yeah.
so
But it doesn't
They would-
stop them from coming in and voting. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's the difference there, because they will always come fly into the country, vote, and go back. But during the transfer period, they have to be living 2 months. And how we can vet that? Also, process of the vetting is a passport. When they come into the country, they have a stamp that shows when they came in, and then we will take that information also. Sometimes we copy that page to be sure that the person was
Yeah.
here in the country, and we will know his address and let that go there, verify his address. But for people that are living abroad, that's the most important part of the document that we'll see when he came into the country.
Yeah. Or how frequently they, how long they usually stay when they come.
So people, some people go to the U.S. They like for instance, students. They would be the exception because they don't have any choice. They're out of the country and they're
Yeah.
studying. They come back, so we know about those cases also.
Okay.
So we won't disenfranchise those.
Right, good. So starting the end of this month, or actually starting
The first day
the
of July.
1st of July, the first day of July, you will be accepting applications for, or you will initiate your interview process for transfers. And then you look out for the supplementary list the 15th of July, August, and September.
Yes,
But you
ma'am.
can only do your transfer in July and August.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
this is across the country, the Elections and Boundaries offices.
All 14 offices.
All right. So bring a photo ID, preferably your voter ID, I would imagine.
Social security.
Your social security card
Driver's license.
or driver's license.
Or a passport. Actually, we need the photo ID. We need to see your face.
Yeah. And you can also bring in a utility bill
Yes, to help us with the process.
of the house where you reside. And that will be a part of your vetting process, but you still go out to do
Yes.
additional checks as well.
Yes, we do go. Yes,
All right. And for anybody who is hoping to participate in the municipal elections coming up next year, then they definitely need to get in that transfer now.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
Okay. Well, ladies, I think we've covered everything, and we want to thank you for stopping in. We know that you always try to educate people on this process so that they don't come next February and try to want to do a transfer. It is only during the summer months that you do your transfers.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you for being here.
you too.
Thank
Anything
you
else
too.
you'd like to tell our viewers?
Just other than voter transfer of electors, once you're 18 years old, please come to the office, bring your passport along. No one needs to bring you, come by yourself. Be living at, same applies the 2 months to live at the particular area. If you don't have a passport, a birth certificate and a photo ID, social security card would work, and you come and register. So please take advantage of that also. It's a continuous process.
Yeah. That one can happen year round.
Yeah, yes.
All right. Well, thank you once again.
Thank you too.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of the Embassy of Canada. So stay tuned.